Everybody, I just want to say that I've been so excited to come down here, and I want to thank all of you for inviting me to Mississippi State. I've never been to the school, and I know I have a lot of friends and colleagues who've actually been through the broadcast meteorology program here. So, and it's so nice to meet so many operational meteorologists and as professional marine on the professional side, as you call it. But very excited to meet all of you as well and see all of the presentations. This is a fantastic conference. You all have a lot to be proud of for this. I know you've been doing it for a while, but you managed to get some really great people here, which is fantastic, and you should be proud of that. I'm going to talk a little bit about my career at NBC, basically in that building we call 30 Rockefeller Plaza, because it's a very interesting place to work. And I've had a very interesting career, and I'm just going to show you a little bit of what some of the things that have happened since I've been there. And it's not all been about weather, but most of it has, but not all of it. Just want to tell you a little bit about that. Oh, isn't that beautiful? Not me, the building. How many of you are interested in a career in broadcasting? Okay. You plan to have a career in broadcasting? My advice is, don't make a plan. The reason why I say that, make a plan to get your first job, because you have to plan that. You've got to send out your reel, you've got to contact news directors and general managers and so forth. But then after that, don't make much of a plan. And I say that because when I first graduated from Florida State University, with Marty Pope, Marty at National Weather Service Jackson. Marty and I were classmates. And when I graduated, or before I graduated actually, my plan was to work for the National Weather Service. I had been a student trainee in meteorology for 2 years at the National Weather Service Forecast Office in Columbia, South Carolina. So my initial venture into the meteorology world was operational and forecasting. But that's not what happened, because that was not the plan, apparently. Somehow, I made it here from all of that, and which was not part of the plan whatsoever. I never planned to be in television at all, and when there was a freeze on hiring with the federal government that year when we graduated, Marty got a job, and I didn't, because he was in a different program from the one I was in. So they were promised jobs with the co-op program, and unfortunately I was not. So I had decided on something else, and that something else ended up being television broadcasting, which is turned out to be okay for me, I think. Yeah, it turned out right. But it's a very interesting place to work. That building seems very daunting. It's 70 stories high. I work on the 3rd floor. That's where I report every day. The same floor with nightly news right across the hall from Lester, and just down the hall from MSNBC. There have been occasions when Rachel Maddow has almost knocked me across the floor as she runs down the hall to get to her studio, because that's what she does every night. No, it was only once that she almost knocked me. But her makeup artist goes out into the hallway and stands there to make sure no one's in the hallway when she comes running out of the room, because you will get knocked down if you are. But yeah, so that's where I go to work every day. And some days it is just that, it's work. And then some days it's amazing. I'd probably say most of the days have been pretty amazing coming there. The first time I ever walked into that building was in 1992. I was working in San Francisco at KRON-TV, the NBC affiliate. And I was asked to come to New York to fill in for Willard Scott at the time. Willard was on the Today Show, and this was before the Today Show was in the building across the street where it is now in 1A. It was inside of 30 Rock. And the studio was actually on the 3rd floor where I work now. And at the time it was Katie Couric and Brian Gumbel. And back then they would ask the meteorologists from other affiliates, NBC affiliates, to come and fill in sometime. It was goodwill between the network and local affiliates, and it was great PR for the local affiliates to have their meteorologists come and work on the national set, you know, with the national folks, and everybody could see them, so it was good PR. And so I was asked to come, and fill in for Willard for 2 days. And I did, and it was really amazing. I walked out of the building afterwards on the very first day. Saks Fifth Avenue is right across the street from here on Fifth Avenue. And my mother and I, my mom came with me, and my mother and I went into Saks Fifth Avenue, and I was in there 20 seconds. And a lady looked at me and pointed. She said, "I saw you on TV just now. I saw you on TV." And I was like, "What?" That just happened. How did you see that? But that's the power of television, especially in a market like this, or just on a national level. So that was the first time I mocked Billy. And then I walked in subsequently several other times after that to fill in on different shows. I got called in from San Francisco. They would fly me out, and I would go and fill in on different news programs there. And then in 1995, January 15th, 1995, I became a permanent employee at 30 Rock, and that was 24 years ago. And the rest is history, as they say, but I'm going to show you a little bit of that right now. So what you're about to see, I want you to either be prepared to be amazed or completely and utterly annoyed. So for the next 3 minutes.
Worried about severe weather? Wonder if it's just going to rain? Now, the way you view weather will never be the same. Introducing Doppler 4000 from News Channel 4.
Doppler 4000 is like no other weather radar that you've ever seen.
Doppler 4000, the most powerful weather radar on television.
Doppler 4000 is the most
The Doppler 4000 radars. News Channel 4's team of meteorologists will now show you the weather like you've never seen before. From the NBC studios in Rockefeller Center, Doppler 4000 uses a high-resolution beam that individually challenge and track changing weather.
right now. Doppler 4000 is awesome. It tell us exactly where
You guys can hear that okay, right?
Covering New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut. Doppler 4000 is always on.
hailstones the size of
Always watching the weather. Plus, Doppler 4000 has Storm Track.
That's where the tornado is being
With
reported.
Storm Track, Doppler 4000 can actually zero in on severe weather.
Storm Track takes the information from Doppler 4000 to give you actual times that these monster storms can move into your area. What we've done is out of the laboratories, and now we can bring it to your living room. Heavy thunderstorms in the next few hours.
Look inside the storm and actually see the motion.
The most powerful radar in the world, now with pinpoint accuracy down to 1 square block.
Powerful television tool in any television stations of three-quarter cameras.
Plus, Doppler 4000's enormous power can detect dangerous weather conditions at all 3 metro airports. Wind shear and turbulence. Doppler 4000 is 50,000 times more powerful than our normal radar. Plus, Doppler 4000 allows News Channel 4 to respond faster to weather emergencies.
Storm has knocked down power lines and
Now, you see the weather as it happens with Doppler 4000 on News Channel 4. Doppler 4000 radar shows its pinpoint accuracy. The future of weather forecasting out of the laboratory and here.
It's starting to rain in Gramercy Park.
Don't go to bed. Don't take plans. On News Channel 4. Now, you never have to worry about the weather again. The Tri-State News Channel.
4000 can save lives.
Oh my God.
The end. Don't go to bed. Don't make plans. Is that what we said? Yeah. Now at the very end, the part where I said, don't make plans, to save lives. Now, they did not give us lines. They told us the types of things they wanted us to say, and they let us say them. So I did say that. But in the end, we are kind of in the business of that, aren't we? We're in the business of of saving lives and learning more about the weather so we can save more lives and all of that. So that was Doppler 4000. Are you annoyed now? The power of promotion. This aired during the 1996 Summer Olympics in Atlanta. Every other commercial break, the entire 3-minute promo for a week. So you could just imagine the annoyance of the audience. They wanted to kill us all. There was no social media then, thank goodness. So they couldn't kill us on that, but boy, they wrote in, they called in, they emailed. It was nonstop. So much so that we had to we had to issue an apology to the audience, which I'll show you a little later, which is actually funnier than this, but that's the power of promotion. This thing worked. That radar, let's see if I can advance here. Oh, sorry. Oh, thank you. Okay, so that radar launched the Doppler Wars, because then everybody had to have their own Doppler 4000, their own version. It was dual Doppler 5000, that's one example. Even Channel 2 in New York had Doppler 2 million. When they did that, I said, okay, I thought we were bad, but you guys are just ridiculous. And then there was a band called Super Doppler. So, you know, it's launched a lot of it. The cool thing is that we, as a television station, even though we're in New York, and a lot of people think that in New York it's not that serious about we're not serious about the weather at all. We are very serious about the weather. And we had a Doppler radar prior to this one. It was a tiny one, like a little one that sits on a yacht. This one sat before this one came. So we've always, you know, kind of been in the forefront of the technology, but man, when we promote something, we really know how to promote it. So this was Doppler 4000. The radome that it was inside was still there in the building, even though there's no radar there anymore. It was in operation from 1996 to 2006, and it was an Enterprise radar, built in Enterprise, Alabama, C-band radar. And it worked, you know, well for us, considering no one else in the market had anything like it. National Weather Service used to have their headquarters, their forecast office for New York City was in our building on the mezzanine level of 30 Rock. In 1996, they moved to Upton, and they have a radar out there, but they left the radome, and so we acquired it, and then we installed Doppler 4000. So it lasted for 10 years, and then in 2006, we took it out of operation because that's when Wi-Fi started popping up everywhere, and there was a lot of interference in the radar, and they tried to change frequencies a gazillion times, and nothing was working. So we decided it's not going to work anymore, we'll take it out of commission. And then we went another 10 years without radar. We used, of course, Weather Service NextRad radar, but our own radar, we were pretty much done from there. All right, so this is our new radar.
Coming this winter, Storm Tracker 4, the only high-frequency S-band radar.
There's nothing like it in the tri-state.
It can see through the storm.
More accurate, so you can prepare.
Storm Tracker 4, only on News 4 New York.
What's short of promo? But let me tell you something. Not that many people know Storm Tracker 4 yet, but people still refer to Doppler 4000. Still. What's Doppler 4000 say? I'm like, it doesn't work anymore. So, but like I said, they still remembered it, and I'll show you an example of that too coming up. But that's our new and improved S-band. So that's in operation now. It's a dual pole, built by EDC. It's located on the campus of Rutgers University. So we actually have a partnership with Rutgers with the radar. They can use it for research and for coursework, but we have control over it, of course, when there's severe weather all the time. But they allowed us to put it there, so we have a partnership with them, and they can use it when they need it for research and such. So it's brand new, and it's working pretty well, and we're pretty happy with it. But that's not all that we have in the arsenal of technology at WNBC. We also have along with Storm Tracker 4, we have Storm Ranger 4 and Storm Chaser 4. It's a lot of storms. I didn't want to name it that. I wanted to name it Super Mega Doppler 4000, but they said no. And so that's what we have. So as you can see, we have a mobile Doppler radar. This is, it's an X-band. And we don't use this one as much at our station. We launched it, but because we launched this first, and then we got this, Storm Tracker 4, so we allowed one of our other O&O stations to take this one because they don't have a standalone stationary radar. So I think Philadelphia has that one now. And this is Storm Chaser, and it's basically mobile weather on wheels. We have dish to broadcast live inside and outside the truck. There are instruments on the truck as well for wind and temperature. And yeah, so we take it to schools, and we also don't really chase storms. I mean, how many storms are we really chasing in New York or in the area? Although there's occasion to do that. But we take it, and we usually use it in snowstorms, like we'll drive around, let people know how bad the roads are, or if there's accidents, and show them just what's out there. But occasionally a thunderstorm will take it around, or following the storm, not in front of it. This vehicle we park. So the idea to get Storm Ranger 4 was to fill in gaps from Storm Tracker 4. Now I have to say, our company, Comcast Universal, is spending a lot of money on technology, a ton on weather technology, which we're all very excited about because that's never really happened to this degree before. We're right now not doing a ton of research with it. I mean, they're pretty, aren't they pretty? But they are operational, we do use them. And our stations that don't have their own stationary radars like the S-band, then they use the trucks and take them out. And there's another picture of Storm Chaser 4. That's standing in front of one of the schools that when we visit, we take it so the kids can see, and they just love it. They get to get inside, and they want to touch things and operate. It's like no. But they love learning about weather and all the technology that we have. So we take it with us to the schools. This is a list of 10 of our 11 NBC affiliates across the country that have access to one or more of all of those systems. Either standalone radar or both with Storm Ranger and Storm Chaser. Some people have their own trucks. We have, I think it's 6 now mobile Doppler radars that we have spread across the country. And I appreciate Dr. Rasmussen and was it Todd? I think, yeah, I appreciate your presentations today. I learned a lot about mobile Doppler. So you might be hearing from me, but that's okay. But I appreciate it. So, this is an initiative that NBC or that Comcast Universal has taken in terms of increasing technology, and we want to own the weather market, better forecasting, better technology, better detection. And it seems like it's this kind of frivolous, but we have some really great meteorologists at some of our stations that are really on board with all of this and doing some great work. So. Happy about that. This is another weather initiative that we have at NBC. This one is particular for WNBC, where I work at 30 Rock. This is Weather Kids, and it's a STEM program for STEM education in the schools. And we have schools apply online. We pick them at random. It's usually 3rd, 4th, or 5th graders. And we go out to the schools with a presentation about weather and weather safety. And we always take the truck with us so they can see that as well. And then at the end, we give them certificates that say they're weather kids, and so that they're part of WNBC in a way. We do experiments with them. Their favorite is the shaving cream that we use. We take the shaving cream on their arm and we make clouds and we make all kinds of fun, and the shaving cream falls everywhere and they think that's the best thing. And we can make a mess. And I always tell them, do not go home and do this unless you ask your parents first. I don't want to be the one that they blame. Oops. Oh, this is just a promo for Weather Kids. NBC4 and Telemundo 47 are getting kids excited about the science of weather.
That's why we're visiting schools around the tri-state, right, kids?
Yeah! Back to you, Janice.
Thank you very much.
It's like amazing how we get to learn all of this stuff as weather kids.
NBC4 Weather Kids
And Storm Team 4.
and And they are, coordinated, they love it. Telemundo 47 is our local Telemundo station. NBC, Universal, there are 11 NBC stations, and then there are 30 Telemundo stations. And so we do a lot of work back and forth with each. Some of our meteorologists are doing some great work. We have one of our NBC Boston station, they're developing a forecast model, actually, that we use in-house at NBC. And it does pretty well so far, it's doing great. As well as all the other forecasting tools from the Weather Service and everybody else that we use. But, and then one of our meteorologists at our Telemundo station, Pedro Montoro, has developed a coastal flood model. He's previously worked with the Weather Service in Cuba. And so he's done some work there with coastal flooding as well. So a lot of things happening within our station group, which we're very excited about, that's science related. Okay, so now we go to the other hats that I've worn at NBC. That was the weather hat, and I've worn a lot of hats there. It's an interesting place to work because you just never know what you're going to be asked to do. Hopefully it's all legal. No, it is. It is. This was when I was on the Today Show. I was on the Today Show for 16 years, from 1997 to 2013. When I came to New York, I was a weekend meteorologist. I worked the weekends, 2 days, back-to-back shifts, so I worked all day Saturday, all day Sunday, local. And then I would work 2 or 3 days a week, and then be off for the rest of the week. And then I started working at Today Show when Al Roker was promoted to the actual Monday through Friday Today Show to take Willard Scott's place. Then I was promoted to chief meteorologist. And then they said, you want to add one more day to your schedule and work 6 days a week? I'm like, sure. I'd like to do that. And then I started working at the Today Show, and I worked on the Today Show for 16 years. Now, that's a pic. I'm supposed to be a Kardashian, I think we're supposed to be in that picture. I'm Kris Jenner. That's Lester in the middle. Who, you know, there was still a Bruce Jenner then, so that's and then the girls, the ladies. Amy, that's Amy Robach, who's at GMA. And this picture, this is online, so you can find this. And Jenna Wolf and Melissa, oh gosh, I can't think of her. She's at Fox News, Fox Financial News now. So anyway, this is my last day at the show. That was a great time. It was a great time because I got to do a whole different, it was a whole different animal and a whole different thing versus what I did in local. Bruce Thomas, I had Bruce and his wife on the Today Show. They came to visit in New York, and I said, come to the Today Show, and I had them on. And then they were superstars by the children, thought they were superstars.
Thank you. I still have some credit from that to my kids.
Excellent. You keep it. You keep going. So anyway, so yeah, that was 16 years. I worked 6 days a week. So I went from working 4 days a week to 6 days a week for 16 years. And then after that, I was like, you know what, I think I need my weekends back. And they're like, okay. And I was like, fine. Occasionally, I get asked to be on nightly news. I've done that on and off over the years. First with Brian Williams, then with Lester. And on the weekends, this was just in January, I was on with Jose Diaz-Balart. And the Christmas in Rockefeller Center, the Christmas tree lighting. We do a local program. There's a network program and a local program. That local program happens first on our local news, and then the network program. And that's Natalie Pascarella, who's our 4 o'clock anchor. Stephen Holt, son of Lester Holt, in case you didn't know, is our 4 o'clock anchor as well. This is one of the more important things I've ever done. And that's the host of a series called Wednesday's Child. And Wednesday's Child is an adoption segment that we featured weekly at WNBC since like that. And I said, sure, I'd love to do that. And on top of other things that I was doing. So since we started the program, more than 300 children in the New York City tri-state area have been adopted. And so that was one of the more meaningful and worthwhile things that I've ever done since I've been there, because that changes people's lives, and might save a few too in the meantime. It's hard to do some of the stories sometimes, but it's worthwhile when you see some of these kids get families. I've been on the side of the PATH train. Now that's really, really crazy when you get on the train on one side and it looks like a plain old train, and then you get off the train on the other side and there's your picture. And you kind of go, oh gosh, that's weird. And thank God I have a hat on and shades and nobody really knows it's me. I took a picture of it. I took a selfie. I had to wait till everybody had gotten off the platform. I didn't want to look like a real crazy person. And we've been on the buses, and stuff. I gave the commencement speech one year at Florida State University at my alma mater. There I am taking a selfie with the graduating class. And, oh, there's Doppler 4000 again, look. Just won't quit. This photograph was inside the 1998 swimsuit issue of Sports Illustrated magazine. I am not in a swimsuit. Neither were any of the other female meteorologists that were in the magazine. It was a profile on female meteorologists in that issue. Heidi Klum got the cover, not me. Oh, so I was an animated character in Gone with the Fog. I was Stormy Gale from the PBS Kids series Cyber Jays. I don't know if you've ever seen Cyber Jays. Yes. So I was Stormy Gale, and here she is.
Now, the authorities are, that's right, in a fog. And without Bobby, I can't do a thing with my hair.
Whoa, this is serious. Gollywood really needs its stylist.
And now, for a check of today's weather, we turn to Stormy Gale. Stormy, can we expect any more fog?
No, Erica, no fog in the forecast. For now, it looks like things will stay hot and humid in Gollywood. More bad hair days ahead, I'm afraid.
I like that floating on the cloud thing. Did you see that? I have no legs. That was really fun. I was asked by this random, the gentleman who was running, I think he still does PBS in New York. He used to work at NBC, was an executive at NBC, and so he asked me to participate in this, and I thought, oh, cool. I'm going to be an animated character. That's Stormy Gale. Oh, now here's another thing I did that has absolutely nothing to do with the weather whatsoever. This is when I was a game show host for a year.
You got 2 points. Finding out the truth. Here's the next question. We asked New Yorkers, which of the following statements from your parents did you hear most often? I'm doing this for your own good. Eat your dinner. There are children starving all over the world. Don't use that tone of voice with me, Ken.
Don't use that tone of voice with me.
I remember that one myself, Ken. All right, let's find out. Is that the answer? No, it isn't. Marsha, for your own good. Is it? I'm doing this for your own good. No. There's starving children all over the world. Mary, wins the point.
Mary wins the point. That was another random thing that happened. The New York State Lottery came to us. They wanted to do this show on Saturday nights. And so my boss at the time, my general manager, he's like, would you like to do this show? I was like, sure, I'd love to do that. It's another hat I'm wearing. And so what we would do is, but the thing I found out about game shows, they have to train you, first of all, how to do one, because you don't really know what you're doing. And they train you. Someone comes in from the game show land and they train you. And you have to tape all the episodes in a weekend. So remember, I was working 6 days a week at the Today Show on that 6th day. So I think we would do it during sweep, so I couldn't take the day off. So then it was like I would get up. First I would do a turnaround from 11:30 at night from our show on Friday to 7 o'clock in the morning to the Today Show, but I would get up at 5. And then I would finish with the Today Show at 9 and then have to go and tape these shows. Like 6 or 7 episodes in a day, Saturday and Sunday. So I did that for like a year, and then that was that. That was my game show experience. Hold on a second. What's next? What hat will I wear next? Oh, well, a lot of you know this one. I was on Weather Geeks, an episode of Weather Geeks with Dr. Marshall Shepard, also a graduate of Florida State University, and with Jen Carfagno and Ginger C from Good Morning America. The episode was Don't Call Me Weather Girl. Please, unless you're my grandmother, please don't call me weather. And so we were on that episode with Marshall, and then I was a Geek of the Week, 1 week as well. But this is probably the coolest thing I've ever done. I had a chance to interview President Barack Obama in the Rose Garden with several other meteorologists for the National Climate Assessment that year. We got invited to the White House, about 10 of us, I think. And I had a chance to interview him, which was truly special. What was also special was that we got to spend the entire day at the White House, like the whole day. That was like 5 minutes right here. I probably got more time with him than anybody because there were 2 women, there was myself and I think Megan Glaros was there. And they had to mic us. It's a little different when guys put the microphone on, you can just put it in your pocket or hang it here and just clip it on your belt. But I had on a dress, and so they had to zip it a little bit and da-da-da-da-da. Well, and what was interesting is the guy was taking, the sound person was taking so much time to put the mic on. I'm like, I can do this faster than this myself, but I didn't get in his way. So President Obama was like, it sure is taking him a long time to do that. I said, it is taking him a while. So we got to talking about different things. I got to ask him an extra question because we only got like 2 minutes to talk to him and he can be long-winded. You ask him a question and he just goes. So, but somehow I got a 3rd question in, which I was happy about. But that was like a 5-minute thing. Now, so we were there all day and I got to meet Sonny and Bo. They brought the dogs out, I got to play with them. I got to meet some other weather folks, like Catherine Sullivan was there, so I got to interview her. And I got to get my makeup done on the south lawn of the White House, which is kind of weird. But that was really incredible. That was incredibly cool. And of course, there are all the weather events that I've lived through in New York. The blizzard of '96 was the year after I got there. Yes, people were skiing down Broadway. And of course, there was Hurricane Irene and then Sandy. This next slide, though, is probably the toughest. So, I was at home that morning. And every morning when I wake up, I immediately turn on the TV to see the news of the day. I mean, I don't pick up my phone immediately. It's always the TV because I'm a TV person. I grew up with television. So, I turned on the TV, and our cut-in was about to start at 8:25, the weather cut-in for the news. And this is the view. Without the smoke, the planes had not hit the towers yet. So it was just all of this without the planes hitting the towers yet. So I looked at the picture, and it was September. It was a beautiful day, high pressure. You can see the haze layer. No clouds, not even a cirrus cloud. There was nothing. And the first thing out of my mouth was, this is going to be an incredible day, is what I said. So I watched the cut-in and turned the channel to something else. And about 15 minutes later or so, I came back to us. I don't know, I'm scanning the channels. And then now this is what I see. And I can't quite, at first I'm like, wait a minute. I just saw that shot. This camera is on the top of the rock where Doppler 4000 is on the 70th floor. That's where this live camera sits. And this is the view every morning at the top of that cut-in. And I said, I just saw this picture. How did this happen? The first plane had hit the North Tower at 8:46. And I said, how could this be? And so now the Today Show's not on, it's local news, straight through. And so I'm watching it, and I'm sitting on the edge of my bed, and I sat there for the next maybe 5 hours. So my husband comes in, he's like, well, what happened? I said, well, something hit the building. I guess it's a plane. And they've now got a close-up of the whole, the entrance there. And so my husband goes, looks like a small plane, or at least maybe that's what they were saying, the newscasters were saying on the news as they were broadcasting, our anchors. And I'm like, that's no little hole, that's a big plane. So everybody's trying to figure out what's going on and nobody knows yet. So as I'm sitting there, because I cannot move now, I cannot move. As I'm sitting there, you know, getting different angles now, the helicopters are up, choppers are up, everybody's up now. NYPD, all the news helicopters, everybody. So they've got different angles, and our chopper now is on the east side of the buildings. Remember, South Tower has not been hit yet. So they're looking at it from the east side, looking west. And the picture that he had, there was a little bit of a space in between the two buildings at the TV. And I'm seeing all these choppers flying around. And I'm like, oh, you know, they better be careful. I hope somebody's monitoring this. I hope none of these choppers run into each other. That's the thing I'm thinking, because I don't know what's happening. And then I noticed something. In the top part of the screen, I see what I think is another chopper coming into view. And it's like a black object, but I'm thinking here comes another chopper. And as it gets lower and lower, I freeze. Because now I'm thinking, what's about to happen here? And you're kind of like in an out-of-body experience. And then in that little space between the two buildings that I was watching, I could see the silhouette of the airplane. I saw the wings, I saw the engines, and then it hit the South Tower. And I gasped, and I was like, oh my God, we're being attacked. This is an attack. And I've never really done this before. But I put on my journalistic hat that day, and I picked up the phone, and I called the control room from my house, because the anchors still don't know. And I said, it's Janice, and they said, where are you? I said, I'm at home. I said, but I know you guys are recording this. Can you please re-wrap this video and show it? Because it was a large plane that just hit the building. It's not an explosion, it's a plane. So they did, and I'm thinking, I'm done, I'm off the phone, I'm done. They said, no, we want you to describe, you stay on the phone. So now I'm part of the news. So as the anchors are talking, they say, Janice Huff's on the phone, where are you? I said, I'm at home, but I want you to see this because I noticed something in the video. So as they play the video again, I can see the plane, and I point it out to them, and then they know. And then all the information starts to come in now. And so you know, to this very day, just 2 weeks ago, no, a week ago, a woman came up to me. I was at the Today Show doing something, and a woman came up to me and she said, you know what I remember? And I knew what she was going to say. She said, I remember that morning on September 11th when you called in to tell everybody it was a plane. And it was, I didn't mean to be on, I just wanted them to know, I wanted them to look at it. But people still remember it. And it was a long time before I could even go down there. A friend of mine is the manager of the observation deck and everything that's up there. So he asked me about 6 months ago to come down and have lunch with him. And I thought about that, I said, I have to think about it. Because I haven't even been to the memorial. I said, I have to think about it. So I did. I said, sure, I'll come and have lunch with you. And so when we got there and we got up to the restaurant and we sat down, and the view is unbelievable. But I had said to myself I would never go. I said I would never go. And I sat there eating with him and I said, you know why I'm here? He said, yeah, I know, it's because of me. I said, yeah. I said, because the only thing I can think about are there's people sitting in their office. Because I'm looking out now. And they're looking out and they saw a plane about to come through their window. I said, that's all I can think about while I'm here. And he said, well, I know, and I appreciate you coming. I said, yeah, I did it for you. So anyway, that was the saddest day for a really, really long time. And we've had, you know, dark days even in our building, you know. It's not always fun. Most of the time it is, though. Most of the time it's fantastic. But, you know, the taller the building, the bigger the politics, I guess, and the television world. And, you know, you've read about scandal and all those other things. I've read the same things. And, you know, luckily we work for a company that has zero tolerance for these things and no harassment of any kind. And so Comcast Universal is doing everything to make sure they can eradicate that as much as they can. And then, here's a happy note, how much it costs to live in New York. In case you were thinking about it.
Yes.
All right, well, I found this online. This is the average rent in New York City. Average. So this represents a studio apartment. This is Brooklyn. A studio, 1 bedroom, 2 bedroom, 3 bedroom. Average. And in Manhattan, that's probably a doorman building. You know, there's a doorman, you walk in, there's security there. It's a little bit less if it's not a doorman building. These are probably not doorman buildings, these. Maybe some of them are. But yeah, it's expensive. It's pricey. And it's small. These apartments are like no bigger than like from here to there, probably, some of the studios. Here's the average rent. There's your subway ride. I do take the subway now. Well, I've been taking it for a while. I was taking cabs for a long time, and they got to be too expensive. And I ride the subway just like everybody else. Nobody bothers me on the subway, most of the time. Taxis are expensive. A garage spot, if you had a car, you want to park it in a garage, average is $430 a month, just to park your car. And then you have to pay for your internet and all that, your utilities, your groceries, even McDonald's costs. We went to McDonald's, okay, I do go to McDonald's sometimes. We went to McDonald's the other night, my producer and I, just because sometimes he wants to eat Chick-fil-A and McDonald's. I'm like, all right, I'll go, but we got like the minimum, like 2 milkshakes and 2 medium fries and 2 cheeseburgers. It was $20. Does it cost that here?
No.
I think so. But there are lots of happy times. It's mostly happy. We have fun at 30 Rock. There's Al and Dylan. Like I said, Al left in '96 to go full-time at the Today Show, and then I took over his spot. And then when I left the Today Show on the weekends, Dylan came. So we were all together the other day. Most of the time you get to meet some really cool people. It's the experience of being in the building, you just never know. Saturday Night Live is done in our building. Jimmy Fallon is done in our building. And Seth Meyers' show is in our building. So you never know who you're gonna see in the hall. Oh, there's some weather folks. There's John Morales, Veronica Johnson, and Joe Whitty, and Cheetah Rivera, and Tony Dale. And let's see, who else do we have around? Steve Harvey, Willard Scott, lots of kids. There's our team. Yankee fans. There's Boom. Oh, there's Alan, past president of NWA, Alan Seals. I've known Alan for 30-something years also. But it's a really cool place. Oh look, Tom Skilling came by. Okay, so this was really fun because I've been watching Tom Skilling since, you know, well, you guys, a lot of young ones don't know, but the advent of cable, when cable news first started, WGN was like America's channel, like everybody could get WGN. And Tom Skilling wanted to come by our studio, and he knew someone at MSNBC, and we were like, yeah, bring him by. So this guy is the guru of weather graphics. One time I counted 22 graphics he did in a show, and this was before you had WSI and all this other fancy stuff. He was the guy. And Dave Price is our 11 a.m. and 4 p.m. weather anchor. You may remember him from CBS. And Mike Rollins, who actually is an MSU broadcast vet himself, is our executive producer of weather. So we were taking a picture with Tom. That was really fun, really cool. And you get a Jimmy Fallon. I was taking this young lady, she's in high school, her dad's the principal at the high school, and I know her grandfather. So she wanted to come by one day just for a little tour. I said, sure. And so we just so happened to be on Jimmy's floor. And it was a Thursday, and they do 2 shows on Thursday. They do the Thursday show, they tape it, and then they tape the Friday show right after that. So he was around, and he happened to walk down the hall. He's so sweet. He's always so gracious. And he offered, he said, you want to take a picture to Danielle? And she's like, yeah. And so there we are with Jimmy. What's next for me? It's not that. not that. That would be cool, but it's not that. You know what? I don't know. As random as how I got to 30 Rock will be as random as I decide what to do next. Getting into our building to work is about as random as a tornado touching down on your house. I realize how fortunate I am. Some days I have to pinch myself to remind myself how fortunate I am. Because sometimes working at 30 Rock could be like working any place else. There's stuff you don't like, there's stuff you want to do, there's people that get on your nerves. I mean, not usually, but sometimes. And so it's just like other places that you work with. Then you have to realize, you know, there are people who die to be here. So get over yourself and sit up straight and keep it moving. So I don't know what's next. Maybe that. That would be good. I would love to do that. But, you know, maybe I would like to continue with STEM, you know, and continue with STEM education and helping kids get more interested in science. This young lady right here, during a snowstorm a few years ago, like 3 or 4 years ago, she did something on Instagram, on her sister's Instagram account, and we got it. She was reporting the weather from her backyard, and so we decided to go do a profile on her, which was pretty cool. So that's cool. Or maybe I could become an agent. A lot of my interns sure are doing pretty well. Steve Sosna, who was an intern and producer for us, is now at WCAU, our Philadelphia station. Kellyanne Klass graduated from Penn State last May. She's at KLBK in Lubbock. And there's Paul Goodlove. He would die if he knew I used that picture. Paul was my intern when I was in San Francisco. He was a grad student at UC Berkeley. And he became one of my interns, and the rest is history there. But you know, I've done a lot of things, and it's been a really cool career there. Oh, maybe Dancing with the Stars might be waiting, although I doubt it. That's Maxim Chmerkovsky. He was on our show. I was interviewing him, and he was showing me how to salsa, but I think I will stick to my day job. But it's been just amazingly cool. Or maybe I'll be a sneaker model. I did that, and that was last week on the Today Show. They sent me an email. They said, "Would you like to model some sneakers?" I'm like, "For what?" They said, "Oh, we're just doing a segment, and everybody," and look at how big he is. How ridiculous is he? And that's Chanel, and Chanel's like this tall, and Shaq is like this tall. And Shaq was there, and we were doing a modeling thing, and we were modeling sneakers. It's like, okay. But I don't think I'll be a sneaker model. But I don't know that I'll be at 30 Rock long enough for another weather radar. Oh, am I not going to see this video? Oh my gosh, am I going to see this one? I wanted you guys to see this. Oh, wow. Okay, I won't show you that. That was the Watch What Happens Live one. Oops. With Andy Cohen. I ended up on, I don't know if you saw, but I ended up on Andy Cohen's Watch What Happens Live the other week because he's been dying for me to come on his show because he just wanted me on his show. And he does this thing, how many of you watch that show? He does this thing with the bartender. And he wanted me to be a bartender, and my station was like, "You could not go on TV and be a bartender." I'm like, "Okay, well then I won't be a bartender." So they figured something out, and they did a thing with a green screen. They got a green screen, and we did a chroma key, and I did a forecast for the housewives, 2 of the Atlanta housewives. And I said there'll be 50%, I said there'll be 50% chance of wearing boots and 100% shade, or something like that. Like they throw shade all the time. So I was on there, and he mentioned Doppler 4000 again. Just won't quit. Oh, before I leave, there's just one more thing I want to show you.
The following is a special message from News Channel 4. As you may know, News Channel 4 recently unveiled Doppler 4000, the most powerful radar in the world. And no doubt, over the past several days, you've probably seen this Doppler 4000 promo during the Olympics. It's longer than most of our promos. Okay, it's 3 minutes long to be exact. Well, we finally realized you got the message. You probably know by now that Doppler 4000 is the most powerful radar. We'll never show the long version of the Doppler 4000 promo until after the Olympics. When you're concerned about the weather, don't forget to check with News Channel 4 and Doppler 4000. It's the most powerful radar.